So therefore, even the persons of high position in the society may be affected, because when we closely observe, this effect of the syphilitic miasm you can find in those persons also. Even, for example, you can find some persons like professors in the university. So since they are professors, that doesn't mean that they are highly intelligent or beyond this syphilitic miasm and all this. So you can find even in the professors. So he may be a professor, but at the same time, this effect of syphilitic miasm on the mind of this person, so he may be able to teach and continue in his profession, but regarding all other aspects of his daily life, then that will be affected by the, and also afterwards, after some time, he will get the loss of memory and all these things what we have seen. And then so therefore, even though he may be a ruler of the country, but still for some years before the manifestation of leprosy on the skin, there will be effect on the mental level. Yes, he will be healed. He can be healed like that, but again, he should take certain measures to follow, so that the mind does not fall again back. Because even though with some methods or whatever it may be, if it is healed on the physical level, but before that, if he is not healed at the mental level, so again he may fall into it. Yeah, when a permanent deformity is not yet manifested, till that time it is reversible. Suppose he lost some fingers, what can you do? On the level of the mind, it is reversible. If you can identify at the level of the mind, then it is quite possible to reverse it, either with a very proper scientific homeopathic treatment, or with the spiritual healing, of course. That is always there. So that is reversible there. In the presence of even on the body, when there is no loss of some organs totally, but when the leprosy is manifested on the physical body also, in the presence of a highly spiritual person, so it can be healed. That is what we have seen. We have many examples from the lives of the saints. Yes, Mahatma Gandhi, he has seen a leper person, and then he touched the whole body of the person with great love for him, praying God, and then he was healed. So this is possible. This is possible when the healer is of a high degree of spiritual evolution. That is possible. But when an organ is lost, or a part of the body is totally lost, then also in very rare cases, only of high masters or somebody, they can do that, but not every healer can do it. Only for the masters it is possible. But with the treatment part, as far as the homeopathic treatment is concerned, so if it is identified means the type of distortion at the level of mind, when a person is identified at that time, when he is treated, then it is easy to prevent the person from getting into physical manifestation. And even after when once the physical manifestation has started, but even then, if you still have some symptoms on the mind, especially the mental symptoms, then also you can treat the person basing on these mental symptoms, and you can cure the person. That is also possible. So the cause of such a disease like leprosy is also this effect of the miasm. So if a person happens to deal with such a person who is suffering from leprosy with compassion, with love and sympathy and compassion with this, then definitely to certain extent the healing is done through that person. But if a person behaves negatively at the mental level, suppose you see a leper person, if you have hatred or if you have spite, then you are contacting that person on the level and the higher consciousness negatively. So you may receive the contagion on that level, on the level of this miasmatic state. So that is also there. So always, in any case, a healer can be saved because of this attitude with sympathy, with an attitude with sympathy and love, and an effort when he puts an effort consciously to help the person, to heal the person. So that is important. When you do that, then the miasm in the person who is trying to do this will go down. That is also there. Because the miasm is of course a negative force. So when you make channelization of a positive energy, positive force, and that is not on emotional level, that is most important. Any effort if you make only with emotion, then it is utter failure. It is beyond that. The spiritual healing cannot be possible for a person who is dwelling on the emotional and astral levels. So unless you cross emotional and astral levels of consciousness, you cannot expect to make a spiritual healing. Because at that level, you are in the grip of these negative forces like miasms. Yes, prayer. Yes. You have a wonderful discourse, a lecture given by Master E.K. on spiritual healing, in which he has explained that how spiritual energies can be channelized to heal the sick persons. So regarding this syphilitic miasm, so this is one type of manifestation. And then another feature of this is gradually the hunger, the appetite diminishes, and also thirst also diminishes. So appetite and hunger, they get reduced from the normal level of what is required. If it is excess appetite that we have seen in certain cases in other study. But here it is on the opposite. So there will be diminution, a decrease of the appetite and thirst. And then also the person loses taste for food. When the miasm, syphilitic miasm advances, he loses his taste for food also. He cannot relish as before. But here we have to differentiate between this, and there is another type of manifestation that is in in another miasm. So in some persons, at certain time or after some time, they develop a tendency to avoid to take food. That is also on mental level. All these are on the level of mind. In some persons it is aversion, in some persons it is not aversion, but there is a peculiar mental state where they just mentally feel that when even though for some time when they feel hungry also they avoid food. And after some time hunger, when you avoid taking food for a long time, when you are hungry, then afterwards your body cannot produce hunger. And still extreme conditions in some persons, in an advanced soric condition, in Sora, that the person feels very, starvation. See, this is there is we have to discriminate between fasting and starvation. Fasting is sometimes a therapy. Fasting is used as a therapy at certain times when you have overloaded your constitution and you are subjected to indigestion. Sometimes you can make fasting by changing the diet from solid to liquid for a certain time. But fasting is different from starving. So some persons take pride in starving. That is another dimension. Some persons feel mentally that they don't need to take. So gradually they develop such a tendency that they develop a pride in starving. So that pride in starving, that is typically in soric miasm. The persons in soric miasm, some persons, they get this. This you find in remedies like Kalium uraticum. Once there was an young man who was a musician. So I knew him, and from the appearance and from his behavior I thought he was a sulfur person. But once Master E.K. has seen this fellow, and I asked Master, shall I give sulfur to this fellow? Master said, no, he is not sulfur. I was surprised, and I have inquired. And this man, even for some weeks, he doesn't eat. Hardly he drinks some water and some. And then if anybody offers food also, he says, no, I don't need any food for my body. From his appearance, because he doesn't keep the hair properly and dress and all this. He was a musician. He's an artist, but he's untidy and all this. Then I thought he is sulfur, but Master said it is not sulfur. For some months also he can be without eating. And he feels that he is not taking food, he is starving. He feels that he doesn't need, he is above his needs. That is, then Master said, you give him a dose of Kali muriaticum tenem. Because I used to meet this fellow because I was attending the music class, and the same teacher, he was also a student, a senior student to me. When I was going to learn music, this person was senior to me, and I was observing this person, and I asked my teacher, because most of the time he used to spend in the house of my teacher and practicing this music. I asked my teacher, sir, what about this fellow? He is not going for food. And then my teacher told me that this fellow, many times my wife tried to give some food to him, but he refuses. He doesn't go anywhere to eat. He doesn't take food in my house. And I cannot understand how for many days and weeks he is like that. And my teacher confirmed this. Then I was surprised. Master just did not ask anything. He looked at this fellow and said, this is the symptom of this fellow, so you give this. So I gave one dose. One day he asked for some, because I was waiting. And one day he asked for some medicine. And then I told Master, and then he said, you take this dose of Kalimur-tenem and give this fellow this dose. So I have given this. Just after 3-4 weeks after, then this fellow suddenly one day asked the wife of our teacher, Mother, please give me some food. She was very much surprised. Oh, and he came very clean. He had haircut and he came close and very clean. And he was there asking for food. And then she told me, you see, there is a surprising thing that he has asked for food. Then I thought, oh, miraculous. Afterwards, it was normal. You have certain fellow like this. Only coffee. He wrote a letter to Master. Yes, not less than 10. The Kalimur also is very powerful antiseptic remedy. Yes, it's Kalimur is it's peculiar remedy, antiseptic, and also it is an antidote. In lower dilutions, it is an antidote to so many poisons and so many things. It is an antidote. Once a lady, she has consumed a handful of tablets, sleeping tablets, to commit suicide. And then we came to know within 1 hour her husband came and told us. So I prepared a liquid with Kalimur, Sushla salt Kalimur. I prepared a liquid, and every 15 minutes 1 spoon of this, and after 1 hour, 1.5 hours she vomited, and then these tablets came out. And then she was very drowsy when I have seen her, and next day she was quite normal. I have not given even in higher dilution, just Sushla salt continuously in the beginning 1 spoon every 15 minutes, afterwards 1 spoon 1 hour, like that, increasing the interval. Next day she was normal. This Kalimur is such a wonderful remedy which can antidote such food poisoning and all these things, even if you don't know. But with Sushla salt Kalimur itself, you can do that. That is a wonderful remedy. So the starvation. They are fasting only because of your advice, not by themselves. Only when, as a doctor, when you are advising them to fast, then they are doing, but not from their inclination. So it is not this. If a person, but fasting means not total elimination of food. It is only replacement, only water. But that is not advisable according to the science, because that is against nature. For purification you can do, but not starve. That is what I am telling. Starvation is one aspect and fasting is another aspect. So totally if you put away food and drink, that is starvation. Fasting means you eliminate solid food. For example, if you feel that some patient needs this, so you can eliminate solid food and ask the person to take liquid food, liquids, sometimes natural things, some fruit juice or sometimes milk or sometimes fruit juices or so like that, some liquid. Which one? But total fasting is not fasting, it leads to starvation. Totally if you put off food and drink. That is different from inside. That is you are not able to differentiate this. If it is maybe, but if it comes, anorexia will be there. If it is from within themselves, that is different. But if we advise for purification to stop drinking and eating, that is different. It is from within. You must be able to differentiate this. If it comes from within, whether it is aversion, whether it is inability, so we must be able to differentiate these things. But if we have to prescribe to make some changes or to bring some change, then we have to prescribe always not total fasting. That we have to remember. Total fasting is not advisable, because that is always, even a person, when the person got an aversion due to anorexic conditions and then got total aversion to food, that means already it is against law of nature. It is not law of nature. It is sickness. How can you call it law of nature?
I have so many patients who were cured with total fasting, perhaps 7 and 10 days, and then they feel wild hunger. They can go out, but little by little, only few days on the juices, after this meal, after this
Yes.
little by little.
Yes.
But only after the purification of system. And I'm also submitting this to myself, and I inform me.
But total, what happens, you listen carefully. This totally, if you don't put even water, what happens, the body starts absorbing the toxins. That is not, you are not understanding this.
If you take the water, yes, toxins go out.
Yes.
But if you take no water, the body begins to find water inside and eliminate the toxins. And body, I use 10 days without water.
But the effect will be shown, effect will be manifested later. That is because there is a science, a clear science about this.
Yes, you need to observe the tone. When the tone became clear, you can go out from this process.
Yes, okay, but you should not totally stop. That is what because water is most natural element.
No, only really effective cases. Usually it is water because toxins have to go out.
Yes, because the body, it is the need of the body. So if you stop the need, then because there are according to law of nature, there are needs of the body, and water is most important need. So if you stop water also, because you can stop other liquids, you may stop milk or you may stop other things, but water is the basic, very most basic element. So if you totally stop water also, then what happens is the toxins stay inside.
But in water first water from the toxins, it's like I don't know how to describe, but your body becomes hot, and after this purification.
As far as because from the natural science, from the sciences of natural healing and all this,
So our way of condition, but
Maybe.
make it with water. It's not for only two patients only, but almost is in water. And the aim, as I get from my experience, then if you keep milk or honey with water, lemon juice, it's different because the body not feel taste, but of course it's not go from the digestive system into purification of other elements. When just simple water, plain water, after the 2 or 3 days, digestive system stops and the water flows over any problem. After this, you can again, like you make.
with water it is okay, but if you stop water also totally, then what happens is there is no other alternative for the system to absorb from the toxins. So that is not advisable.
I have a few ladies with cysts. After the 3 days without water, the cyst gone from the body because it was in the oncology even they say no operation helps you will die. So only these patients I say if you have the very acute situation, so you can convert them try because I have such experience with myself. And they are trying and so many good this so body take the water from the this is
Then what the water which is absorbed from the toxic substance is, it gets into circulation, and that stays for a long time. It is not immediate effect.
after this very long period of the golden hour because if after this take more than one swallow of the juice, the digestive system again it can be short. So it's nearly after the 3 days without drinking water, it's nearly 2 months to go to the usual.
Yes,
It's very very slow all the time observe foods and
yes, that is true. That is to restart the nutrition, it should be slow, but the principle of total absence, that is maybe as you said, maybe in one or two cases, but you cannot generalize this, because this is not at all general, because it is very clear that when you stop totally, even water also, the system has to absorb, because the system needs, when there is a need and you are not providing, so it reabsorbs the toxins. Yes, whatever is available there, it starts, it reabsorbs, so that goes into circulation.
where does it go? Where does it stop? Where does it settle? After this, we use water for cooling. But I will say that on also because this is only for patients, and then I recommend just testing this water. But patients have both. They have so good results without water. Then they try without my prescription to avoid the water. Very bad results because psychologically they have a lot of results and they are again
That happens naturally. When you make the body, because the basic needs of the body is food and drink. And then if you abstain your body from this for long time, then what happens is that will be another shock for the body, and because of this causes a disturbance in the vital force and then in the mental level also. So then the patient will not be not in a pleasant mood. So the mental balance, the emotional mental balance there. Yes.
It has to be one is in a situation of surviving. After this, to survive and survive, it takes all his power to do this and go normal. But if it's just to improve the body condition, I'm not prescribe this situation only for the very heavy situation.
Yes, but it is a decision it is a decision in certain cases maybe, but it is not at all. You cannot call this as a natural way of, because it is quite logical, because these needs of the body, this mechanism is provided by nature, not by us. So what? Yes, in some patients where it is needed, so we can prescribe water, to take water, and gradually, and this diminution also, so they can gradually reduce the quantity of food and keep on water for some time, and then when once you feel that it is getting better, then gradually once again bring them to normal nutrition. So this is how we have to always make. But a total elimination, total stopping of food and especially drink, water, so there it brings so much of this problem, because that brings a long-standing problem. The effect will be manifested later after a long time. So this we have to always remember. So this we cannot generalize. We can make some experiments only at. And also this disappearance of the cyst or disappearance of some what is there before, that is also when it is reabsorbed into the system, because what is the cyst? Cyst is a manifestation of some toxic substance which is kept as a store not to disturb the system. That is how cyst is formed. What you call a cyst is a formation because the vital force, when there is no possibility of the total elimination from the body, out from the body, then the vital force makes an alternative to bring this to a place into the form of a cyst. So that is a toxic substance which is there in the cyst. So when you close all this, then the body has to reabsorb. So what is it absorbing? This what is there in the cyst is reabsorbed. Then the cyst disappears. Why should you make the body to reabsorb a toxic substance and afterwards put a cleaning process? When there is, no, that is what I am telling you. When there is a possibility, that is what I am telling you. You are only thinking to avoid the surgery. That is okay, because you have no other alternative than to make a surgery. Then you have to think of this. But when there is other alternative through treatment, when it is possible, you can make the cyst to dissolve. So we can take that alternative than to make the body reabsorb all these toxins into the body and then afterwards a cleaning process. Then this is a better alternative. That is what I am telling. That is what we are studying.
There are even groups in the West now proclaim that you can stop eating and you can start urinating, and in the morning you drink a glass of your own urine every morning.
Without eating.
Exactly, yes, for the sake of purification.
You see, there are so many types of such explanations, but when you put them with the law of nature, when they cannot stand, because there are there are certain laws of nature, and there is a basic health science, common health science according to the law of nature. So if you put all these things to that, it does not stand for that. So that is many people, every person can make a new theory or whatever it may be, but if it stands to that law of nature or not, that we have to we have to estimate. Yes. That is only possible for very highly for highly evolved beings, some adepts who can directly, because after all what we are getting as food and drink is from the solar source. That is true, because what we call oxygen, what is oxygen? We know oxygen only as a gas, and we know only chemical formula, two molecules, two atoms of oxygen, one molecule that we call oxygen and O2 and all this. But what is oxygen? Oxygen is manifestation of sunlight. The sunlight, the light of the sun, which is the cause of our existence, that itself, on one level of consciousness, it is transformed into oxygen. That is what we call oxygen. And then this same sunlight, after this, gets another manifestation which we call water, the element of water. And then another manifestation later is what we call food. Because our body is made up of all these substances which are different manifestations of sunlight ultimately. So there are some adepts who are on very high state of evolution, who have crossed all these limitations of matter and all these. They can directly utilize the sunlight without the need of taking this food and this water and all this and from that level. But that is not for everybody. If we thinking that we can also do that, if we stop eating and drinking, then we will die.
So what happens to people because nowadays these new we call this Homoeo Philosophy-15, the thing is that now they are starting to photosynthesize oxygen as a remedy. What happens to a person who thinks that?
They have to prove it. Because it's not poison, but okay. But if it is really proved, just like for example, X-rays are passed through the medium of this alcohol, and then it is made into a mother tincture at certain intensity. X-rays were passed, and then it is made into a mother tincture. From this there is potentized, and it was proved very well proved remedy in homeopathy. In the beginning, people said it is crazy how X-ray can be like that, but it is proved. Similarly, electricitas, magnesitas, there are medicines like that. So if somebody can make oxygen as a remedy, for example, it should be proved. So when they can prove, when it can produce any pathology in a healthy person, but X-ray is but oxygen is not so, because oxygen is the very basic element for the life. So you cannot think that oxygen can be potentized or made into medicine. That is not so logical. But but we are all inhaling oxygen. We are not dying. This is natural oxygen. So the principle here is to understand is oxygen is a manifestation of the sunlight, and so all these things are explained, as I told you in the beginning. These dimensions were explained by Master Jwalkul in the Treatise on Cosmic Fire and in those books. So it is a higher science. Still, to our present science, it is not still comprehensible that oxygen is a manifestation of sunlight. So it is gradually, we will know later. But these are given from those sciences, original sciences. So this is so we have to, whenever we get some idea, we have to correlate to these things and whether it stands to that logically or not. It is true. It is true that from the oxygen cylinder we cannot inhale directly. That is okay. But what is oxygen by itself? This is oxygen. So that is what we have to. We will more understand it. That is what Master Jwalkul said. This will be accepted. All this will be understood, because what is given in that book is a commentary. Jwalkul, he had first time he has given this to the modern world through this book. Still it is very high and difficult at the present, for the present level of science. So but Master said that this will be understood by the modern scientists by the end of 21st century. So it takes some more time to accept these things. So that has come from the masters. So from this study we can know that how all this is happening. And then the chemistry of calcium in the body that is disturbed by this miasm. Calcium, phosphorus, and also the halogens. The fluoride, chloride, bromide and iodide, this group. So the ratio of these substances, because in the healthy person they are at a certain ratio to balance. So this balance is disturbed by the syphilitic miasm. So therefore, gradually in the body of this person, in these substances there will be ill balance, and this ill balance will be manifested in different forms. So after some time, the hard tissues, the bone, especially the bone and the teeth, they are destroyed. So manifestations like decalcification, either this, that because that is out of balance, or also in some cases excess. So just like exhaustiosis, extra growths on the bone. So an ill balance on the bone at different places, there will be extra growths of calcium deposits, mostly in syphilitic miasm. Because the tuberculosis also, but mostly in syphilitic miasm. Especially this decalcification are damaged at a very early age due to syphilitic miasm. The bones, the teeth, the hair and the nails so in the children who have inherited syphilitic miasm at an advanced degree, the growth of the bones is distorted. So in some children there will be no sufficient growth of the bones. In some children the growth of the teeth also. You find in some children the dentition is very late. The first dentition also is late, very much delayed, and then the second dentition, the children when they lose the first teeth and then they get the dentition, that also in some children is very much delayed and distorted. And decay of teeth and decay of nails, necrosis in these tissues, that is also caused by the effect of this miasm. So even at an early age so the fall of hair in some children also, you see severe loss of hair. And then another feature is in this miasm that most of the sufferings, especially at night, the patient, the person having syphilitic miasm in increasing degree, more and more gets sufferings, deep sufferings. For example, if he has chronic pains, so the pain will be deep, even up to the bone. So when it is during night, he gets severe pains in the bones. So deeper sufferings are manifested during night. When it is night, that is the worst time for the persons of syphilitic miasm. In psoriatic miasm, we have seen that all the four meridians is a time of aggravation. Sunrise time or mid-noon or sunset or midnight. But in syphilitic miasm, the whole of night is the time of aggravation. And then the soft parts of the skin gets ulcerated very often. Ulceration of the soft part of the skin in the axilla, the skin in the armpits, skin in the groins, and also the skin in the palms and the feet. So in persons of syphilitic miasm, very often you find the what you call the erysipelas. This is it's the type of, as if they are cut and then ulcerated. So such type of ulceration, such type of ulceration will be there. That is affected by the syphilitic miasm. Yes, mostly, mainly due to this. Especially in most of the persons of syphilitic miasm, very often chronic, it's a chronic problem that the palms or the feet, always you get this problem. This is mostly on these places, and also the armpits and the groins. It is a chronic problem for them. And sometimes it may bleed due to this. And another manifestation is that a tendency of ulceration in the eyes, in the nose, and also in the gums, ulceration, ulcer. And also the tongue, frequently they have a tendency for the ulceration of the tongue. Many sorts of ulcers on the gums and the tongue. Many times you can observe that the tongue gets red due to ulceration, and inside the skin, inside the jaws, so it turns red and ulcerated. They frequently suffer from these problems. Cracks on the tongue, especially frequent sores, formation of ulcers and sores on the tongue and also inner parts of the mouth. Herpes. Yes, herpes also in syphilitic miasm and also in psoriatic miasm. Both. This frequent tendency of herpes. And bleeding from the gums. And the tooth get loosened at a very early age. Even in children also, the tooth get the tooth are not strongly held in the gums, so they get loose. All these problems, mostly in syphilitic persons, these distortions appear even at the early age. And frequent problems like angina, the ulcerations and inflammations in the throat. And very obstinate type of furuncles. Formation of furuncles and ulcers, very obstinate type. So most of the time, very long time, even though they are treated, but they are not healed. They get into deep ulcers and staying for a long time on any part of the body. Very obstinate ulcers. So they keep on taking medicines, internal and external medicines, and the typical aspect of this ulcers of syphilitic miasm is very quickly you can feel a very foul smell from this. Bad odor. Bad odor, the smell from the furuncles. Foul smell. This is because of the tissue disintegration, decomposition of the tissue. The inner tissues are decomposed because of this bad, very foul smell. That is very typical from these ulcers. If the person has some few furuncles, and then you can feel this, you can get the smell of this. And especially the type of ulcers, they are very, when you observe, mostly they are round and deep. So, smell round and deep. They are boils. They are boils which are round and deep, and some of the boils, if you just insert some thread, it can go inside so deep. So these are very typical of this syphilitic miasm, this type of boils and ulcers. There are some more features, but we will continue in tomorrow's class.